Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 9 here in All the Mods 9 to the Skies. A while ago, we started working on this project where we were going to build the dome or the sphere around the central island, and I turned it back on. You can see it's filling in some of our glass now. I was waiting till we had the ability to make things a little faster. Now that we have all of our system's working pretty good. We have power up, we have spaces for our resource generation, space for our ore generation. We can start speeding things up. So the first thing I did is, instead of using a crafter upgrade in our exporter, I added another system here. So now this has an exporter that exports regular glass as fast as it can into here. And I have a crafter tier 3 that crafts it into connecting glass, and then this recipe is set to internal, so it puts it back in here, and then this recipe is set to external, so it fills it in here, and then I have a fast upgrade that moves a stack at a time into here. So we can, as fast as we can produce glass, we can get it put into this drawer or barrel. Oops. And then this is placing it. So right now the bottleneck is the fact that I don't have a ton of glass in the system. And if we come up here and look, that's because there's very little glass here. I have netherite upgrades in here and here, so I can produce sand really quick. So this is filling in a new stack of sand as soon as there's space for a stack. But this is still pretty slow. So I have upgrades in here, but we can do better with this. So what I want to work on first today is upgrading our ability to do smelting. And to do that, if we look at smelting and we look at this thing, we're missing a few things still. So if we want to do an ultimate control circuit, that is just a crafting recipe with these two things. So that we can just teach the system. So let's find where we have our, here's our mechanism stuff. Let's put that in after we have the advanced, the elite, and now the ultimate control circuit. Where do I have? I guess the other ones are smelting. That's why they're separate. So then let's go back in here and check again. Now we're missing atomic alloy and reinforced alloy. So I believe I started working on this before I came in here. Let me check. That's the redstone one, and this is the one that's empty. So I have a crafter here. This has nothing in it. So the first thing we need to do is the diamond one. So before we can start using an infuser on diamonds, I need to teach the system how to make enriched diamonds. Even though we have a ton of diamonds, I don't really want to waste diamonds. So if we come down here, we have our enrichment chamber here. We can teach it to do that. Put it in this order. I did already put in the one for this one, but let's work on one at a time. So now we have the ability to make enriched diamonds. So let's make one of those. Or two of them. So that is an enrichment chamber recipe, which goes here. Did it already go through? Wow, that was super fast. Okay, so we want to set this exporter to export enriched diamond, and we want it to be set to craft it when needed. So it's already working on that. So let's throw this back in here. And now if we go back to our smelting and we start this, we need to teach the system how to make the alloy. So we want reinforced. Let's also teach it while we're here to do the atomic. And we'll come down. These are recipes that go into specific metallurgic infusers. So this one is here. So now if I request the infused alloy, oops. Oh, I missed a step. This is not connected to anything, so we need to put a cable up to connect. So now we'll see this. We can tell it to make the used alloys, and we can see, if we can catch it, that this one made one already. Cool. So the next thing we need to do in order to make the other one is we need to set up an infuser, metallurgic infuser. And we're going to need to put this down just like this one. So, running out of space here. Let's just keep moving it down. It's fine. We'll reorganize these once we have them all in place, because they're all going to move anyway. So let's do that. Turn on our power. And now we are going to clear all of this. We're going to set the energy in. So now this has power. The same thing we had over here. We want to do an exporter. We want to put in a crafting upgrade. And that's where this... Oh no, that's where we need to get the refined... what is it called again? The reinforced alloy requires the refined obsidian dust, but we want enriched obsidian, what I'm looking for. Helps if you spell things correctly. This is what we want. Okay. So I have told it how to craft this, but it's missing refined obsidian ingots. We know how to craft refined obsidian dust. To make the refined obsidian ingots, we need the system to use an osmium compressor. Let's make this recipe. And I actually built an osmium compressor already. And the osmium compressor we will put down here next on the line. This one is also a system where we're going to need to have an exporter going. And for that, we're going to be putting osmium in it. And this has power now, so we need to set up the crafters for these. And I'm just going to do regular crafters because they don't need a lot. I've been trying to limit the diamond crafters, not because they're hard to make, but because the more and more that I have of diamond crafters, the bigger this screen gets. So if I'm only going to do less than 9 recipes, just putting a regular crafter just makes sense. Okay, so let's check it. Let's hook up these cables. We'll go just across like this, connect this, and connect that. So this is our metallurgic infuser that gets the recipe for reinforced alloy. This one will get our recipe for refined obsidian dust. So this is going to put in, or refined obsidian ingots. It's going to put in refined obsidian dust. We're going to get back out refined obsidian ingots. And actually here and here, we need importers. So now the last thing we need to do is configure all of these. So I have the energy configured, but I don't have the items configured. So the top is an input. The right is an input for the extra. And the back is an export. Auto eject can be on. This one will be similar. Let's set this. So for energy, we want energy coming in from the bottom. For items, we want an input there. We want our extra coming in from here, and we want this to be an output with auto eject. So we can see osmium is coming in here, which is going to fill this with osmium, which means that if I were to send in refined obsidian dust, I would get refined obsidian ingots. So back to our smelting recipe. We now have everything we need to craft our ultimate smelting factory. I missed a crucial step here, and I'm going to fix it, but I wanted to show you what it was. I have in our crusher, which is this one, I have obsidian, refined obsidian dust made from refined obsidian ingots. Problem is that to make refined obsidian ingots, I have this recipe that requires refined obsidian dust, so it created a loop. What I actually want for refined obsidian dust is to put obsidian dust through a processing in, let me check that again. This one goes through the diamonds. So this one here makes this one, it also makes this one. But that means we need a recipe for obsidian to obsidian dust. And to do that, we have this recipe through an enrichment chamber. So we put obsidian in, we get obsidian dust in the enrichment chamber. And the enrichment chamber is this one. We put this in, and then this recipe can get rid of it. And we can cancel all this. And then we can just call this up again. And we'll see that we are now crafting all the things that we need to get to it. So if we come over here, we should see these alloys are being made. Over here we have, I think that was obsidian dust being made, which means that in here, after this one is done, we should see the obsidian being returned into refined obsidian, which will eventually put it through here to get us our obsidian ingots, and that will allow us to finish everything up. Our smelting factory is finished. You can hear the processing is still going on. That's because we're still making the refined or enriched obsidian with the refining of obsidian to keep this machine stocked. It'll keep going until we have 64 backlog in there, just like the other machines do with the other enriched product. It is a good thing we got that finished too, because we did get a big section of our sphere done. It's starting to really fill up. You can see now we actually are starting to see a sphere being made, but we ran out of glass. So if we come down here and look, this thing is just sitting here waiting for more glass to come in. You can see it says cannot find missing inventory. So as more glass is going in, it's slowly working, but it's going real slow. But we're about to speed that up. So if we go to resource generation up here, we're going to pop this thing out. And we're going to put in this smelting factory. We're going to configure the sides. We want energy coming in from the top. And for our items from the left, we'll have an input, put an output there. We'll auto eject on. You can see we have this going on. One thing we want to do is we want to uninstall all of our upgrades. And also take this out. And then we can just throw that back into our storage later to use at another time. But we want to go in here. I'm going to set this to auto sort because we're going to use all the slots for glass. So as they put them in, it'll fill all the slots. We're going to go into upgrades. We'll install efficiency upgrades and speed upgrades. So now you can see we are making glass at a much, much faster pace. If we want to speed this up even more, we could make it so that this, because this is making plenty of sand, we could actually make it so it gets sent into more than one smelting factory. But for now, we're just going to see how this goes. It's making 9 pretty quickly. Let's go down and check on our center storage. You can actually see up here, we're starting to get this. And this, while we're here, I'm going to show you, this is going to be intersecting this island. So it puts the glass right where it goes. Eventually, once we get the sphere built, I'm going to have to decide how I want to deal with the intersections, because when we build the sphere for this one, they're going to intersect different places. And I think that what I want to do is I'm going to build something to make it look like they're connected, and then have a small entryway through, like make an arch this way. But we'll have to see once they get put in, so I can visualize it a little better. But let's go back down to our center storage, and we're going to see how is this going now. It's still probably not getting very much glass because it's getting 9 every few seconds, but it's definitely getting more than it was. We have greatly increased it. I do think that we could be better off. Let's at least make one more of these. And while that's cooking, I want to check, do we have a recipe for glass using our new mystical agriculture stuff? I don't know if glass is something we can craft. I don't think it is. I think we can craft the sand, but we would have to smelt the glass. So smelting's gonna definitely be a thing. Another option that we have to look into is going through the furnace processing to see how fast we can get using these furnace upgrades and other different types of furnaces. But I think that smelting is just going to be our bottleneck for this. And it might just be something we have to let it go and do for a long period of time to get it done, because we're building literally millions of glass blocks for this. So I'm going to look into it and come up with some better options. But for now, I'm going to let this cook me up another smelting factory, and then we will put in another one up here to increase the speed that our glass is being made, because we're making sand at a much faster pace than all that. What do we have here? What's holding this back? Is this a power issue that's slowing down the production of sand? Probably. Looks like it. We may also need to work on increasing our power, which is kind of crazy because we have made our power plant do some crazy levels of power. But I don't quite understand how that could possibly not be supplying enough power, because this is transmitting power as fast as it possibly needs. Let me go up and look at that again. Is this... I guess maybe there's a limitation on this machine that it can't put it in, but I don't think that's possible either, because other machines pull it in faster. May have to do some research on that as well. But I'm going to do some more work on creating some things to increase our glass production so that we can increase how quickly we're making our dome. I've done some upgrades here at our glass factory of sorts, and we have things are all moved around a little bit so I have more space. But I have the same setup back here with the cobble gen and the hammers are producing sand. And I put in a buffer so that we have a space for the sand to collect. And then I'm using these pipes with an ultimate upgrade, which moves 64 at a time. So it's pulling them out super fast and filling up all of these smelting factories. I made 10 of them. So there's 10 altogether. Each one of them processing 9 at a time. And so we're making like a huge amount of sand, or glass, I mean, coming out of there. Each of these has an ultimate upgrade too, which I think is a little bit of overkill, but it pulls them out as fast as they possibly can and keeps dumping glass in here very, very quickly. And you can see that it is effective. We come up here, we're already more than, well, almost at the halfway point going across. Actually, I think we just hit the halfway point. And we are producing glass not as fast as we can place it, but pretty quickly. And so if we drop down, see where we're currently working at, I think we're just finishing over there. And so in just a few seconds, when that gets done, it's going to start the next row of chunks, which means we're going to have glass getting placed over here on this side again. You can see it just started up above us. And we are once again working on this side, and we'll keep going through until we're done with this sphere. The really nice thing is this one is taking a long time to produce, but that's because this is the first one we're doing. Later on, that glass will have had a chance to stockpile, and we'll have just a ton of it stored. So if we go back up to our resource generation section, and we look into this drawer, we can store, kind of hard to see because it's flashing, 33 million glass in there, which means that when we're not building with it, this will keep running. This is all independent. It uses power, but it doesn't use any other resources coming in. It'll just keep making glass for us until our system has 33 million glass stored in it, which means that we're going to have just a ridiculous amount, which means that when we go to build the other spheres for the other islands, we will be able to build them super quick because we'll have those built up. We do need to decide how we're going to do where they merge, but I think what I'm going to do is just get them all built and then do it. The other thing that's neat is that because we have set up the mystical agriculture before, we have dye essence in here. We don't have a ton of it yet, but we're building more and more. But when it comes to dye, let's say we want to make red dye. It just takes 3 of these to make 6. So for each dye essence, we get 2 dye. And then to make red stained glass or red clear glass, it only takes 1 dye for each 8. So for each one of our dye essence, since we need one of these makes 2 dye, and then we need 1 dye to make 8. Each of these essence can produce 16 glass, so we need 4 of these for each stack of glass we do. So we're going to need a ton of dye essence, but not as much as you would think. Not as much as it really would be. So what we need to do up here, dye essence is one of our first ones here. This is a thing that we're going to need. Let's see, which one is the dye? Ice, stone, fire, elemental. This is tier 1. We need tier 2. There we go. This is our dye seed. We need to make another dye seed, or several more dye seeds. And when we do that, we'll be able to set up a section of garden cloches that just produce a ridiculous amount of dye seeds. That's going to be the first one where I set up a dedicated farm for it. So let's see. Do we have any more cloches stored? I have 7. Let's craft another 9 of these. That'll give us 16. And as far as the dye seeds go, to make dye seeds, we need the dye stuff here. So we need to make, if I want to make 16 more of these seeds, that means I need a stack of these. And if we go and look at the recipe for it, each one, you need 1 of each of these dyes to make each one. So I need to get a stack of orange dye, and then a stack of pink dye, and then we need a stack of cyan dye, and the last one is a stack of lime dye. And then as far as prudentium goes, I just need 1 stack of this. That'll just take a little while to craft. Go back to our cloches. Those are getting produced pretty quickly. Now that'll work while we wait for the rest of them to go. We can go back over to here, put down 4 of these. Oh, I need to actually craft these to the item I need. Of course, it's not that simple. It's actually has to be in a specific order. That's oops. Then we're going to need the seed bases. We're going to make, actually, we're only making 16. I'm just going to make one for right now. But what I think we should do as far as these go, since we're going to be doing a section that's just for dye, this will be a section on this side that is just each of the tiers all done. And then I'm going to, on this side, I'm going to start a row. And this will be for each of the things where we're going to be doing just that item. This can go, because that was just to do some, to get some of the things we needed. Oh, actually, I have this. Think about how I want to do these. This side, I think I want to do it like this, just so the cables will be facing the same. I don't think it matters so much, but I do want consistency with how I place the other. So let's grab the rest of these cloches. They should be done by now. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Did I count wrong? Or is it still crafting? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I need one more. You still crafting for me? Yes. And so then now we need our exporters. Export our water. And we'll need our importers. Import the items back into the system. Let's just do this one. We'll put the water in a while. And then we'll do the rest after we get this one set up. Just going to set it like that. And then we'll put in, need to grab some Prudentium soil. Prudentium farmland it's called. And we'll put in our dye seed. And now we can go through and make an entire section that is just dye seed. And we'll produce those until we have all that we need. It needs power. Not the power, of course I did. The beauty is once we're done doing dye seeds and we have so much dye essence that we don't need it, we can always repurpose these for something else. But we also have the ability to craft these fairly quickly. You saw how easy it was to get those going. So we can easily make an entire field full of these cloches, just filling the whole thing up. And we can scale up at a ridiculous scale. There are other ways that we can do farming, but this is a good way to start. And so now we go, actually, I want to go to center storage. When we get to the point where we're building the spheres for the other ones, all we'll have to do is pick which dye color we need and set up in our crafter to have dye essence exported out and have a recipe that crafts the dye that we need so that it can craft the colored clear glass that we need. And it will be just the same process as this to place down all the other spheres. So for now, we're just going to let this one finish building. We're going to let the glass stockpile while we grow the dye essence that we need. And then we will use this same builder that we used to build this sphere, and we'll just relocate it to each of the other islands to build those spheres. And when we're done, we will have a crazy looking conglomeration of spheres, and we can start working on the outer design of the whole structure. Then we need to work on getting rid of this cobblestone because I am tired of looking at it. We have to decide how we're going to do that. But I think at that point, it will be time to actually start. Right now, we're just kind of dividing things up. Some of these are more laid out how I want them than others. Some of them are just kind of, we put things down near the entrance as much as we could. Same here, we're just kind of putting things down. We can start to come up with a plan for each of these islands and figure out how we want to do it. I want to make it so that there's as little blocking of the view as possible, because wherever I am, I want to be able to look and see the glorious contraption that is this crazy build. But for now, we're just going to let things progress. We're going to keep making that sphere. We're going to keep producing glass. We're going to keep growing our die, and we're going to be ready to finish out all the other spheres and finish the build up, at least with the glass portion. Once that's done, we'll have to figure out how to link it all together and build the rest. But we're making some serious progress on that front now. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.